After his 2012 divorce from Katie Holmes, Tom Cruise went through a deeply painful and complex emotional journey. According to Radar Online, the 62-year-old actor has reportedly imposed a strict absolute rule on his new partner, Ana de Armas, never mentioned Suri, his only daughter with Katie. Insiders told Radar Online that any mention of Suri is considered extremely off-limits for Cruise and has the potential to make him emotionally vulnerable. One close source revealed, Tom can't stand the idea of being seen as weak or emotional, so he simply shuts the door completely. For Cruise, avoiding the topic of Suri appears to be a form of emotional self-preservation, a way to shield himself from guilt or past sorrow. Beyond the Suri rule, Radar Online also reports that Cruise enforces a long list of other relationship rules, particularly when it comes to public appearances. These include avoiding joint event attendance unless pre-approved, limiting shared photos, and keeping social media tagging to a minimum. Meanwhile, other sources say Cruise is throwing himself into his new relationship as a way to compensate for what many see as a personal failure, his lost bond with Suri. Radar reports that he is pursuing Ana de Armas as a future wife, and even hopes to have a child with her, as a way of making up for the pain surrounding Suri. This suggests that Cruise still carries deep regret from the fallout of his marriage, and perhaps views Suri's absence from his life as a lasting wound, when he hopes to heal by starting over with Anna. Emotionally, Tom Cruise is described by insiders as someone who values control over vulnerability. He is said to be hyper-aware of his public persona as a strong, action-oriented movie star, and he avoids displays of weakness at all costs. As one source told Radar, Tom is charming, generous, and intense, but he is also incredibly disciplined. He controls every aspect of his private life. When recently asked about Father's Day, Cruise notably avoided any mention of his children. His response was brief, just having fun, making movies, and enjoying life. This silence, and his tendency to shift the topic, left many observers surprised. But according to Radar, this is just another example of how Tom avoids confronting his inner emotions. In the eyes of some, Cruise now lives in a carefully curated world of his own making, one where family and the past are kept tightly out of public view, and where vulnerability is the one thing never allowed to break through the surface. The Church of Scientology played a pivotal role in the family tragedy of Tom Cruise. In court documents from his 2013 divorce, Tom admitted that Katie Holmes filed for separation to protect Suri from Scientology. He confirmed that it was one of the key reasons behind the breakdown of their marriage, as Katie feared the church's influence on their young daughter. Many believe that Scientology's controversial practice of disconnection, which encourages members to sever ties with anyone who distances themselves from the church, contributed to the widening gap between Tom and Suri. Katie left the Church of Scientology shortly after the divorce, moved Suri back to the U.S., and secured full custody. Almost immediately, Holmes began creating what appeared to be a safe space for Suri, free from the influence of Scientology. She was granted custody and shielded Suri from the controversies surrounding the church, allowing the young girl to be raised like any ordinary child, without being compelled to follow her father's belief system. Since the split, Tom Cruise has reportedly had little to no contact with Suri. Even mentioning her name is described as an absolute red zone, a deeply painful subject that is strictly off-limits in conversations with Cruise. Over the years, Suri grew up primarily under the care of her mother. She has often been described as a confident, independent teenager who has crafted a normal life for herself in New York City, far removed from the glare of Hollywood and the complexities of her father's world. In 2024, Suri made headlines by officially dropping the Cruise surname and adopting her mother's last name, becoming Suri Noel. The move was widely seen as a symbolic step to assert her independence and further distance herself from her past and her father's shadow. Now that she has turned 18, Suri is legally free to speak about Scientology. This signals a shift in her autonomy. She is no longer bound by the rules that once governed her father's relationship with the church or the silence that surrounded it during her childhood. In the end, the long-term influence of Scientology on Suri can be considered indirect but profound. The divorce that was initiated to protect her effectively rewrote the entire trajectory of her life, removing her from the orbit of the church and placing her in an environment where she could grow into her own person under her mother's protection. Yet, that protection came at a cost. The severed ties with her father and her mother's silent stance also meant that Suri had to quietly let go of one half of her family, choosing distance over confusion and silence over conflict. Today, Suri Noel is building a quiet, private life in New York alongside her mother, miles away from the glare of her father's fame, and even further from the world of Scientology. Ana de Armas, neutral or stirred? Amid the growing public curiosity around Tom Cruise and his estranged daughter Suri, Ana de Armas appears to remain composed, deliberately detached from the emotional storm swirling around the actor's private life. The Cuban actress has maintained a calm, almost serene stance, offering little more than polite professionalism when asked about Cruise. Publicly, she has never confirmed or denied any romantic involvement, instead emphasizing that they are simply collaborators on multiple film projects. In a May 2025 interview, Ana playfully brushed off rumors by saying, "Clearly, everyone knows I'm just working with Tom," while stressing that they're involved in a number of projects with top-tier directors. She made no mention of any personal connection, choosing instead to speak about the intense physical training required for their roles, and offering praise to the production teams. To many observers, her lighthearted yet firm tone was a calculated way to put romance rumors to rest, framing their relationship strictly as a professional partnership. Appearing on morning television, Ana reiterated her neutral stance. "We're definitely doing a lot with Tom. It's been such a fun experience," she said, signaling once again that she was determined to keep things professional and steer clear of personal drama. It's widely understood that Tom Cruise maintains strict boundaries in his personal relationships, chief among them, his rule of never mentioning Suri and keeping the past off limits. Those close to the situation suggest that Ana was briefed on these boundaries early on, particularly that Tom would never speak about Suri under any circumstance. From her perspective, Ana is likely navigating a highly delicate position. Not only is she expected to respect Tom's private rules, but she's also a rising star with her own image to protect in the public eye. So far, Ana has avoided making any direct comments about Tom's family situation. Instead, she references him in interviews solely as an admirable collaborator, showing clear intent to distance herself from the emotional narrative surrounding Tom and Katie Holmes. To the public, Ana de Armas seems to be taking a neutral stance, focused on the work, not the whispers. She comes across as a powerful young actress, with a trajectory of her own, not a participant in the emotional fallout between Tom and his ex-wife. If anything, she appears to be someone who was pulled into the private sphere of Cruise's life only insofar as she has to abide by his tightly held boundaries. By joking that she's just working with Tom, Ana has, perhaps intentionally, reasserted her identity not as a character in his family drama, but as a Hollywood force charting her own course. How does the public see Tom Cruise as a father? Public opinion on Tom Cruise's role as a father has become increasingly divided. Recently, when Cruise appeared on the red carpet and was asked about his plans for Father's Day, his brief response, "Just having fun, making movies," left many people disappointed. Within hours, social media and entertainment news outlets were filled with critical comments. One user wrote, "He can't even answer a simple question about Father's Day," while another added, "All he talks about is movies. It's like being a father doesn't even matter anymore." A particularly pointed remark read, "Filmmaking may be his favorite thing, but that's not a fatherly activity. Sad for this man." These comments reflect a broader disappointment from fans who feel Cruise has grown distant from his paternal identity, and who wish to see him embrace the role of father more openly and emotionally. Still, there is another side to the conversation, one that defends Cruise. Several voices online have pointed out that Tom is also a father to two adopted children, Isabella and Connor, from his previous marriage, and has consistently maintained a close and affectionate relationship with them. Bella and Connor have attended his birthday celebrations and taken part in family events, leading some to argue that Cruise's role as a father is not entirely negative. The tension with Suri, they say, may be a unique case, shaped by complex factors like Scientology and the legal structure of the divorce. There have also been reports that Cruise continues to financially support Suri. Allegedly, he set up a substantial trust fund for her and has been covering her tuition fees for college, estimated to be quite high. Supporters of Cruise argue that he is fulfilling his financial responsibilities and that it would be unfair to question his entire role as a father based solely on emotional distance. What emerges from the public discourse is a complicated portrait. On one side, critics condemn Cruise for what they view as emotional neglect and detachment. On the other, defenders point to his long-standing bonds with Isabella and Connor, and frame the estrangement from Suri as the result of extraordinary circumstances, especially the influence of his religious beliefs and the legal aftermath of his divorce. Across entertainment platforms and social media, the debate continues to stir. Some highlight how protective Cruise is of his public image, while others insist that the Church of Scientology played a central role in the breakdown of his relationship with Suri. Fans remain firmly split, some sympathizing with the pressures Cruise faces as a global icon, others expressing frustration at his refusal to publicly acknowledge his youngest daughter. In the end, the public sees Tom Cruise not as a one-dimensional figure, but as someone navigating a tangled web of career, belief systems, and personal choices. A father whose legacy remains unwritten, shaped by both criticism and compassion.